So speaking of sort of where we are seeing this transformation, right, and things moving to conversation and conversational AI, what advice do you have for industry leaders that are listening to this right now, that want to bring AI, that want to bring conversational AI to their company? How can they accelerate? What can they do, given your experience working with large Fortune 500 companies and even the small guys?
I think the people who do it really well and accelerate is they bring together the care and the technology folks, the IT folks together. And then there's an overarching vision. Where I find it very difficult working with the big enterprises when it sits in a pocket. It may be a technology project and they force it on care. It may be in customer care and sales and they don't want to have IT involved. And what we find in the end, there's so much activity around AI in the enterprise. Like every corner, someone's fooling with Dialogflow or Lewis or something, or our stuff. And those are the people we're playing with. Those, we work with them, we compete with them, but that's the group. Obviously, IBM Watson. But I think as a leader, you got to set a vision for how conversational commerce and the consumer experience is going to be. Then from there, you bring those teams together and you set them on a path. And then you work with a platform provider like us, where we provide expertise and then the technology, but it's unified. And we'll move very quickly. If we don't have access to backends, that's where you have lousy bots. When you're trying to get something done, the bot's like, I can't help you. Call now, 1-800. That's because there's a backend system that's not available, that you have to go talk to a human to access a backend system. This is what I've come to the conclusion is humans in contact centers are only needed to facilitate the touching of a backend system that does not have APIs available for a machine. And I just don't buy it anymore, even though my name and company is LivePerson, that talking to another human makes things warm and fuzzy. It's not where people are anymore. Especially younger people don't want to talk to anybody. So you've got to get the backend systems exposed so that the conversations can be very rich. And then bring the care folks together to design the conversations and implement them, those care reps, and then set them on a course to fulfill intent by intent by intent. Start with bill pay. If you're a banking company, that's like 30% of intents usually are bill pay. Then work your way down. And that's how we get a lot of momentum in scaling the conversational commerce experience.
Yeah. How far do you think the world is from hitting that point where it's more normalized and it's part of the business?
If I look at our customers and average out how much automation is being used, in the conversations today, or what percentage of conversations, even voice conversations that have been moved over, we're about 20%. So some of our customers have gotten to 60, 70%, like the best, and some are going to 80%. They'll get there by year end. But if I average it out, it's probably about 20% of conversations have automations in them that are end to end. Today. Mm-hmm. And it's not a lot. You have a lot more. You have 56 billion conversations done by voice conversations a year to contact centers around the world. 56 billion. $1.2 trillion is spent on calling a customer, center, calling a care rep by voice. The largest brands in the world, like the big telcos and banks, they spend over $1 billion a year handling phone calls. And I know most of you, like me, would think they spend nothing on it. You would think they spend zero, but they spend like $1 billion a year handling a phone call. It's old technology. It's broken. It's still out there. And you can see that it still needs to be transformed, and that's what's happening now.
Now, do you think e-commerce is making a switch over to c-commerce, especially in the near future?
Yeah, there's big bets going on. So the conversational commerce space, although most people don't probably know about it, but if you look at Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg about 2 years ago put out his manifesto, and it was a lot around messaging and what he wants to do with the messaging platforms. And he wants to collapse them down, and they want to put commerce through that. Obviously, Amazon has Alexa. Google has Google Home and Assistant. Apple has Siri and Google and Apple Business Chat. So everyone's put their hat in the ring. You have WeChat over in Asia and China. You got Kakao Talk, you got Line. I mean, all of them have commerce running inside them. So the race started, you know, and there's no winner yet. We are also in that race. We're coming about it from the brand side. We didn't build a consumer brand yet, but we were bringing the brands and empowering them. The other guys have consumer brands and they have front-end messaging applications or voice applications like Alexa. This all converge somewhere. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you'll see massive amounts of e-commerce being assumed by CCommerce. And that's the game we're playing in. And we're not the only ones playing in it. There's, you know, many other people are up there. All the big tech companies are in there today doing it too, are betting on that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So what advice do you have for future entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs that want to build an AI company like yours, given your lessons learned along the way?
I think the biggest mistake I see, like we saw a tremendous amount of bot companies a couple of years ago just come out of nowhere and they were getting funded, and most of them are not doing very well. They remain small companies. First, playing in the enterprise is really hard, and everybody wants to go there. It's really hard. I mean, we're able to do it because we're at a certain scale. So, you know, we're 1,300 people, got 10,000 customers. We're doing over 350 million in revenues this year. We've worked in this space for over 20 years. And I see a lot of them go into the enterprise and it's slow for them. And you have to be able to do certain things like security and all of that. And I just think you're better off trying to build something in the consumer space. My recommendation, it seems easier to build a AI platform and sell it to a company to empower them to do something with it, with their consumers. It is very hard to do. And very few small companies with even a lot of money have really done well with it so far. So I would recommend come up with an automation that helps me solve a consumer use case, travel, you know, help me book my flights better, whatever it is. I would focus on that side and go for that. It's harder because you got to build a consumer brand, but it'll be easier versus going after the enterprise, which is you've got Google, you've got Microsoft, you got us, you got other companies out there, Salesforce, it's just hard to compete in that space.